Oh, there's Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Oh, yay.
Is Bill around or just Nick?
Kimball, I don't see Bill Kimball on yet.
Oh, Reggie.
701, Supervisor.
Is Reggie there?
I'm right here.
Yeah, Reggie's
Hi,
there.
Reggie.
Hi.
We got everybody but Lauren.
So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Call to
Yeah, Lauren.
order the meeting of May 12th.
Yeah, are we going to call Lauren in, though? Because I think I did talk to him earlier today.
Let me start the meeting, Laura. Don't just give me a second.
Sure.
Lauren I talked to, and he has bad Wi-Fi, so he may not, and if he wants to call, he can call me.
Well, one time Ashley called me. Can Ashley call him in the first week when my Zoom didn't
No,
work?
Ashley's at home. So again, please let me start the meeting. Call to order the May 12th meeting of the Woodstock Town Board. There are a couple. One I want to acknowledge from the Woodstock Times, Nick Henderson, and also Felicia Kasich from WIOF Woodstock 104.1, members of the press. I don't see Mr. Kimball here yet. There were a couple of announcements I wanted to make. This Thursday night from 3:30, actually Thursday afternoon from 3:30 to 5 on the Woodstock, the Green, there will be a mask giveaway. This is being sponsored by Season Gives, the table at Woodstock, as well as
See how? Oh no, I already know how to.
just trying to look here. There's another group here, founder of Harmer Bee, and I guess the Woodstock Human Rights Commission is also involved with this. So again, Nick, if you could, actually the paper's not going to get out until when?
It'll be too late.
It'll be too late. Okay. But Felicia, maybe you could note on the radio that between 3:30 and 5. So if people pull around and go around the Green, they'll be able to do a drive-through type situation, and they're giving 2 masks to each individual. So
What day is that? What day?
that is this Thursday. Okay.
Bill, they've been announcing that online, just so you know, and
Yes.
Harambe, they have the whole ad, so we've been sharing it online.
Right. And it's on, it'll be on the town Facebook page and the web page as well. The other item that I wanted to talk about briefly, and I have not even had a chance to discuss this with all the town employees yet, but the Department of Labor a couple of weeks ago came up with a shared work program designed to help municipalities protect employees and save taxpayer dollars. The way this operates is that we put in a plan. Some employees will have their hours reduced. They'll get paid partially for those hours that they're working. And then for the hours they don't work, they'll receive unemployment benefits, which are half pay. And then on top of that, there's a $600 weekly federal government check. So actually, every employee that we've put in the plan will actually go home with more money than they're now receiving for working. And they'll all be on reduced schedules. I should have that. I'll be able to post that tomorrow and start to talk to the employees. And actually, it'll take effect next week. That's how quickly it works. Richard, I know you and I talked, well, all the board, we all talked about it today. Richard, one of your concerns was about how quickly, so it's run by the Department of Labor, not unemployment. And I submitted the plan from Pam's office. She and I put it in. I walked to the water cooler to get a drink of water. I got one phone call on my cell phone that I took for about 3 minutes. In the meantime, the phone was ringing, and it was the Department of Labor already approving the plan and moving it forward. So we're optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that this won't be a terrible strain or burden on any of us or the town employees. The savings could amount to as much as $4,000 a week for the town, for the taxpayers. And again, all the employees would receive better than their take-home pay now. And their insurance the insurance won't be affected at all. So,
Will their accrued time be affected at all?
accrued time will be affected.
Okay.
Yes. So vacations and sick time, there's nothing we can do about that.
My concern, Bill, was that they can get through that system as quick as possible. That they won't be held up, they won't be delayed, they won't lose money by having to wait a couple weeks. But you're saying it's okay, that it's all going to be processed fairly quickly.
Knock on wood. If today was any indication, I mean, they were back to us in a matter of 10 minutes tops. And the employees, the town also has to go on weekly to verify certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all done by computer, so there's no waiting in line for a live person to come on unless there's some issue and you need help. So
Yeah, no, I agree. But my only concern is that people don't get hung up in the system. That's all.
I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, we're talking about government.
That's right. Of course.
But hopefully this government runs as well as the Woodstock government. So
The other concern, you mentioned saving, what, 4,000 per
week.
week. Does that include the money we still have to pay in on unemployment?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what time frame are you looking at, Bill?
Thank you for bringing that up, Jackie. So the federal funding runs through July 31st. Unless that gets extended, that would be our absolute deadline. And then at that point, we would hopefully be able to bring the employees back. I'm even more hopeful. I mean, I would have done this 2 weeks ago, except that I thought it looked like everybody was going to be able to come back next Monday. That's not going to be the case at this point, and I just can't say how long. The other thing is that this can be amended from week to week. So after next week, say the assessors of the building department, one of them needs more time, we can make adjustments on a weekly basis. So we're not hamstrung in from now until July 31st. Also, we can start to bring employees back. You know, some employees, this could be in effect for 2 weeks and then they're back full time. Other employees could potentially go till the 31st. But everybody, I think it's critical and important to everybody here, everyone is coming back. So
Cool.
this is, this is one time when the state and the federal government actually came up with a pretty good idea to help municipalities protect employees, get them paid, not overburden the local taxpayer, and it protects our employees that we can bring them back, that we're not losing them. So anybody else have any questions? And I'm sure as we move forward, there's going to be a couple of questions here and there. And, I just remind the employees I have an open door. If there are issues, Pam and I are both here to help smooth that out. So with that, I'll go to a couple of resolutions. Be it resolved to amend Resolution 231-2019 to read, whereas Little Apple LLC, 21 Tinker Street, Woodstock, New York, 12498, is in compliance with the Alcohol Beverage Control Law, Section 64, Subdivision 2A, has notified this municipality of their intent to file an application for a liquor license with the New York State Liquor Authority, and whereas this property is currently in compliance with all local laws and does not have any violations at this time, And whereas they have modified their method of operation to only include recorded music and not live music as previously noted, therefore be it resolved to waive in this instance the 30-day period of said application and consent to the issuing of a liquor license for the above.
Second.
Any questions?
Question? Can you explain that modification? I'm not quite sure I follow that.
I think originally, and I only had a brief conversation with Ellen, Jackie, maybe you know a little more. I think they wanted to do something to the effect about live music. And
Outside?
they wanted to have live music, and that's
It's not allowed.
yeah, or at the very
they
least,
had-
you need site plan review. So,
Right.
but they're allowed to have some audio music as long as it doesn't go over the noise ordinance.
Right, and it would be inside, I'm assuming. I don't know if they would put it outside on the little patio that they have, but Ellen seemed to be very comfortable with it. She was back very quick, saying that she was okay.
What is the policy? Because I know last night we had a CCD meeting with
Pearl Moon,
Pearl Moon,
and they were talking about outside music. So
live
I would think that, well, go ahead.
live music.
Yeah.
That's something that would need to go through site plan for approval. And, I'm not going to speak definitively, but my recollection when we dealt with the Bear back a while ago is that our zoning law doesn't specifically prohibit it, but it would require them to go for site plan.
Okay.
And, that was my recollection of what my discussion with John Kirkpatrick back at the Bear 2 or 3 years ago, that they really needed to get before site plan if they wanted to make that modification. And that's the stance we took with the new owner, that, I don't see where it's expressly prohibited, but it would be a change. So,
Okay.
all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
I had a question.
Yes.
So, Jackie, you were assuming that it was indoors, the recorded music, but Bill, do we know for sure, or are they going to put like a little speaker outside for the patio?
They may have a little speaker, but again, businesses are permitted to have a radio on or recording.
As long as it doesn't disturb, right?
It has to conform to our, what's reasonable. It
Right.
shouldn't be heard, if it should be heard in the immediate area, not 3 blocks away.
Well, even the neighbor, right?
Right.
Isn't that in our law?
It's got to be reasonable. So
Yeah, right.
hopefully it won't be an issue for the police department. So, be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to finalize the necessary documents with Central Hudson to complete the buyout of the stranded value on the non-LED streetlights.
I'll second for purpose of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me more about that. I don't think we talked about that.
Well, we didn't talk about it today, but we talked about it at the town board a while back, where we discussed the option of continuing with NIPID and having them install lights that we would own versus dealing with Central Hudson and allowing them to continue to own the lights and replace them with LEDs. We would buy the non-LED lights. We would give them the value that hasn't been depreciated yet. And so the lights would remain the property of Central Hudson. And let me get my wording right here. We would buy out the stranded value of those lights, and we would remain a rate A customer of Central Hudson, which
Okay.
basically says that they own the lights.
Right. So are they going to be replacing, as they replace lights to be LED lights, so the ones that we buy out this stranded value, they'll eventually replace them too, but just they'll be proceeding to do that because now they're not throwing value away. Is that kind of what that means?
Correct. That would happen. I want to say it was a 3 to 4 month period. It would happen quickly. It wouldn't happen over time.
Okay. And do you have a value of what dollars
So
we're talking
the
about.
stranded value, actually, you should have got that email a while back, is approximately $17,000. And then there's a roughly $5,000 savings on energy, a rebate. So our cost is somewhere between 12 to $13,000, I believe. And I'll have more of that information.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And then at what point will they likely have the LED lights in place? Because they're going to be doing a replacement over time, giving us LED lights.
Within a couple of months. Once they start the
Okay.
project, they're just going to do it.
Cool, okay, all good. I mean, it's what I recall us talking about, but it was a while ago, so it all sounds good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I dug out the email from, I think it was beginning of February. So what you're proposing here, Bill, and what we're voting on is you basically to put the numbers together. Is that correct?
Well, to sign a commitment with Central Hudson to move forward.
But we don't have, the totals might have changed.
No, they have not changed.
But the email you sent us was from the beginning of the year.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if it's changed.
No, it has not. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring this email up.
Bill, while you're doing that, can I just confirm, will
Yeah.
the town own the lights or will Central Hudson own the lights?
Central Hudson will
Central
own the lights and be
Okay.
responsible for maintaining.
Okay, thank you.
And also improve them. So they're giving us improvements to LED lights while they own and maintain.
Correct.
And we had looked at a different option before, and we did think that this was the better option. Central Hudson is a trusted source, and so we did have some discussion about which way to go, and this did seem like the best option.
The other option included the fact that we would be responsible for repair. We'd have to hire another company to do that and monitor it and all that stuff. So there's extra money. The savings wasn't as great as it looked.
Or as clear.
It's
It wasn't
clear.
as obvious.
You know, the other thing is, if you recall from that meeting, is that my concern was that that company didn't seem to have anything set in stone. There was a lot of things that were shifting. Ken, did I send you that email yesterday or today?
Which one?
Oh, I think I got it. Hold on. So our annual savings is approximately $5,000. The stranded value of the non-LED lights is $17,200, and minus the rebate, our cost would be $14,400.
But then we get the savings every year, so we're going to see that we're going to buy back the cost you put out, because with the savings each year, we're going to be recouping that.
It'll pay
Correct.
for itself, yeah.
Is Ken on?
Ken's on.
What's his thoughts?
Kenneth?
What was the question?
What's your thoughts, Ken?
Well, I think this looks like a pretty good deal. I mean, Central Hudson has to finalize those numbers because I think it was really based on the spreadsheet they sent you back in 2018, but they shouldn't change that much. But,
Yeah.
you know, in a couple of years, you pay off the $12,000, and then you get a $5,000 a year savings. It's actually better than what the Power Authority offered.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
Power Authority offered a $20,000 a year savings. You had to pay $20,000 a year
To get the
years.
savings.
So your cash flow is like $1,000, and with this one, it's going to be $5,000. You know, Central Hudson takes care of all the problems.
Yes, and they deal with any problems. You know, initially the other deal did sound attractive, but it went from about a 3.5-year payoff to almost an 8-year payoff. And I, for one, did not feel comfortable.
I think the other issue that Richard had brought up, he'd like an extra street light. Now's the time to ask for one.
Yeah.
Well, yes. If it's possible, Bill, within those figures, I don't know what a new fixture would cost, but down by Sylvia's and across from the pizza parlor, it's just a dark hole. People run across the street all the time. It's just not safe.
Well, what I'd like,
can figure that into the cost or not at this point.
Well, for that, there wouldn't be any additional cost. You're just ordering a new street light and they add it to the bill.
Yeah.
No,
Even the
Th-
fixture,
There would be a monthly, the monthly charge.
right.
So what I was going to do is ask a couple of council people. I'll give you the list. What I'd like to do is get our own inventory of what lights are up and what lights aren't before this deal is done. For instance, somewhere down the town side of the movie theater, a telephone pole came down about a year and a half ago. There was a light on that pole that's never been replaced. So, that should be a freebie. They should be replacing that and not charging us for it. And right now it's in the value. So that should come out of the stranded value. And
Does this include parking lots?
yes, it does. Some of the parking lots, not all of the parking lots. And I have a list here from Central Hudson, though, that I can email you. If you and maybe you guys could each divvy them up and, go and confirm and check.
Well, now I'm not following. You want to sign the contract, but we're not sure.
I'm not going to, I just want to move forward. I want at some point in the next week or so, just to confirm.
Well, that's what I was asking before. I thought you said you were going to,
Right now, all I'm going to do is send them a letter, send an email saying, yes, the town board voted to move forward with this, so that they can start getting their paperwork on their end, which is going to take them several weeks, if not a month or more, to get.
So there will be a contract to approve.
There will be a contract to sign, but we're moving forward with it. There won't be. Either we're doing it or not.
Yeah, this resolution authorizes Bill to sign that contract. That's the way I read this. Authorize the supervisor to finalize the necessary documents to complete the buyout of the stranded value of the non-LED lights. So we're authorizing Bill to pay out $17,200 of town money because we're going to get the buyback of $5,000 savings a year once the project is complete.
I agree. I agree. I didn't understand the need to go now count lights if we're already going ahead with the contract. Don't we know what we got?
We know what we should have, but again, there may be one or two missing.
Well, so the list, so you've got a list.
And in fairness to Jason Melizzi at Central Hudson, he's already pointed one out to me and made an adjustment. So he's not trying to play a fast one, but I think it would benefit us. I mean, if you guys could I guess I could do it if you don't have time to do it, but if you guys could help me out here, one or two of you, and just go around, there's 129 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to help out with the effort. I guess I'd feel better. I'd be willing to help out with the effort. I want to do it with somebody. It would make sense to have two people looking to make sure we're not missing things. So I'd be happy to go. If you want to split the list in half, maybe I could team up with somebody and two other people could team up. If anybody else volunteers, but I would volunteer to help you with the effort.
Okay. So maybe you and Richard and Reggie and Lauren.
That's fine. Let me know.
Okay. So you say Richard and me, or okay?
Well,
I'll leave it to you guys.
Yeah. What's your timetable on this?
It's going to take them weeks, if not months. It doesn't have to happen this week.
So you'll have two lists, Bill, in your office. One list for two of us and the other list for two of us.
Absolutely. I'll probably email you each a list.
Okay.
So then everybody's got it.
Yes, it's like a field trip going down 212.
Yes.
Yay! And out
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just stay 6 feet apart.
Oh, there you go.
Be it resolved to authorize the supervisor to take the necessary steps to initiate a $2 per hour fee at the car charging stations.
Second.
Richard gets it.
Thank you. So again, Ken and I, we had a little chat, and thank you, Ken, for kind of helping with those numbers. And Richard, thank you we've talked about this a couple of times. I think that's a reasonable cost to the user, and it's fair to the taxpayer to cover the expenses. So.
Just a question.
Are we gonna have like like a machine like you get at the grocery store that you put your credit card in?
It's already there.
It's already
He's there. Yeah.
Okay.
Who, does the charging company take care of that, fixing the price on the,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, one of the things that we will have to do is right now we had, under the grants, we had a 2-year agreement with them to monitor. We're going to have to continue to sign a contract with this company to keep them monitoring and taking care of the charging stations. And there'll be a cost associated with that that we may eventually have to build into this cost as well. But I think for now we'll be covered. Any questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved, effective May 18, 2020, to appoint Derek Zellner, Adam Ball, and John Van Buren as to the grade 3.5 tier at a rate of pay of $21.80 per hour. The rate of pay midway between the rate of a grade 3 and grade 4 for assuming the responsibilities of some parts of an HMEO skill set.
Second.
Well, any questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I'm done.
Yes,
Bye.
I had two things. One thing is the zoning revision committee is getting back on track. We had a little hiatus while we figured out how to do all this Zoom stuff and everything, but we are Zooming. Ashley will be chairing our Zoom meeting for zoning revision committee starting this coming Monday at 5:30. And I see the town website does have it, so that the information is on the town website. And we do, our meetings are typically the second and the fourth Monday of the month, but because of Memorial Day being the fourth Monday, we had just set one meeting in May to be the third Monday. So it's the third Monday in May, but then we'll go back to our second and fourth Monday. So we are, where we left off was we were talking about telecommunications. We had already talked to Gabor Funk, and we had already talked to Jerry Washington. We were about to talk to Steve Romine, so I'll be inviting Steve to come to the meeting that we have in May. And then in June, the Housing Committee, Kirk Ritchie has said, Housing Committee is getting close to where they want to come talk to the Zoning Committee. So my prediction is that in June, if Housing is ready to come to us, we'll be ready to listen. So that's where we are right now with zoning. And the second thing I was hoping to talk about was, I know, Bill, you and I talked earlier today about, and I know the town's doing a lot for coronavirus and the feeding that Reggie's been involved with and the seniors that Maria Elena has been involved with. But as I mentioned to Bill earlier, I did hear somebody talk about people in town without masks. You know, we think they're out of towners because the people in town tend to know that we want to be safe here too. And I did talk to a couple of the board members today after I talked to Bill, and it made sense to have a conversation about what else can we do. I know we're focused on food, and that's fabulous, and focused on the seniors, and that's fabulous. But maybe some way to remind people, if they're out of town, we need to be safe here too. And I was hoping that we could just see whether we had a consensus of the board about, do we want one sign in town, maybe two signs in town? So I just wanted to broach the conversation to see if we could make some decisions and move forward.
I'm gonna agree with Laura. I think it wouldn't hurt to put up a couple signs.
Same, and Laura, we spoke earlier, and I am in agreement also. I wouldn't be opposed to some additional signage just to kind of give people a heads up.
And even if we started with one sign, I think everybody seems to think a sign at the triangle when you're coming in 375 to 212, a sign there. I know, I think it would be nice to have one on 212 coming in near Kachina, but if that's not possible, we made, and Richard had offered earlier, maybe a sign on the green. So I think one sign for sure. If we want to start with one and then see if we want a second one, or if we had a second location, and I think we would just have some easy words on it that says something to the effect of wear masks and social distance, but maybe say keep Woodstock well, wear masks and social distance, or we wear masks and social distance in Woodstock. Just something real simple, because it would have to be no more than 10 square feet. And I'd be willing to look into how we could get a sign created. I'm just looking for something simple on a sign that just gives the message as a reminder. So I don't know if we can proceed or what's what. But we do want people to remember when they're coming into town. I think the New York City people may believe, hey, we don't need our masks here because this is Woodstock, but we need to be safe too. We know this coronavirus can happen everywhere, and it would just be a reminder that hopefully they read the sign, but at least we're taking a stand on our statement. But I'm willing to work on this if I have the authority from this board to do so.
I would prefer a motion, Laura.
You'd like me to make a motion?
Sure.
But would you like the motion to have one sign or two?
I prefer two, but I'll go with the rest of the board on this.
Okay.
I mean, two is fine.
Okay.
Two is fine.
So I will make a motion, and Jackie, do you want me to go slow so you can write it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I make a motion that the town board authorize 2 signs, 10 square feet each, to remind people coming into Woodstock to keep Woodstock safe, wearing masks and social distancing. And I guess, can I say at a cost of no more than $200? Does that sound like a likely thing?
I don't know. Bill?
Whatever you guys want.
Okay, so Jackie, do you have the motion, or do I need to restate anything?
No. So the cost is not to exceed 200?
Well, yeah, I may have to come back with an amendment if it can't be done for that amount, but
Okay.
that's a starter.
All in favor?
Hopefully
Or is
it'll
there a
be a
second?
very temporary sign.
What was that, Jackie?
Hopefully it'll only be a very temporary sign. I'm getting a little tired myself of all this, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Does the motion have a second?
I'll second it, Laura.
All
Thank
in
you, Reggie.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Got that, Jackie?
Yeah, I did.
Laura, will you pick up on this? Are you going to go forward with this?
I plan to. I'd love to work with you if you're interested.
Well, I just don't know who can produce one quickly enough. I don't know the sign trade. I know it's going to be 70 degrees and beautiful this weekend, so town's going to fill up.
Richard, who's putting the signs back up at the triangle? Who's doing that?
What do you mean?
I thought that signboard was down and now all of a sudden it's back up again by Cucina.
I have no idea. You know,
If we could find out who's doing it, I mean, they're making signs pretty darn quick down there.
Chester, I think.
Oh,
So-
no.
Is he still in business?
I think so.
I don't know.
I thought he was retired.
I mean, the Historical Society's been using a guy in Phoenicia since Chester retired, but
So I guess, Bill, my hope is that maintenance can put the sign up. I think that I can pull some strings to get a sign made or
Okay.
two, and then it's my hope that maintenance would put it up. Okay. So Richard, if it's okay with you, I'll compare notes with you and for wording and things.
I don't care. Give me a call.
Okay. Unless, Reggie, you wanted me to work with you on it, I'm happy to work with one or both of you.
Oh, no. If you want to work with Richard, if he's your, chosen council person, then.
But you're both my chosen council people.
I am the chosen
No.
council person, Reggie.
What'd you say, Richard?
Nothing. Never mind.
No.
Nothing.
Never mind.
Does the town want people to be
I just-
wearing a mask whenever they're outdoors, or only when there's a chance of their being within?
What are we hearing?
So hold on. Felicia has a question for clarification.
Yeah, so does the town want people to be wearing a mask whenever they're outdoors, or only if there's a good chance that they're gonna be within 6 or 10 feet of other people? Like if there's clusters of people like on the green, or, with our narrow sidewalks, if there's people walking back and forth, you're more likely to be close to somebody.
So I'll just repeat the question. Felicia's asking, is it the town's desire that people wear a mask all the time that they're outside, or just when they can't socially distance.
Yeah, my answer would be follow what the governor says, and that is if you can't
Socially
social
distant.
distance, if you can't social distance, wear a mask.
Right.
And Richard and Reggie, so there's your
Yep.
clarification.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So that's important to point out, because we have gotten a lot of calls about people not abiding by the governor's executive order, and really what it does say is just that you're supposed to wear it if you can't socially distance. Also, one of the issues we're getting a lot of complaints is that where you have family groups, so if there's a husband and wife and 2 or 3 children walking along the street, they're a family unit, and not required or expected to wear a mask. They're living together, and so I know that some of the people that have been questioned by our police department, and again, the police can't write tickets for this. They can only give gentle reminders that we can't issue tickets, that we can only ask. So anyway.
Bill, if I could just bring up really quickly, I know I spoke with you about it and Laura. This thing is something we should maybe talk about for briefly. I was thinking about the warmer weather that's coming and the swimming holes. And if we want to have those open, our folks want to be out there, especially as the weather warms up. And if we have tourists coming up for a day trip that have been stuck, somewhere, maybe in the city, and I don't want to city bash, but I'm saying we will have a lot of people. It's natural to want to get out of there and to come up here. And do we want to talk about, what we're going to do about the swimming holes? Do we want to have them open?
Sure. Anybody have any thoughts? Do you have any opinions, Reggie, at this point?
I mean, yes, I do. I think it's going to be hard to safely have them open.
Mm-hmm.
And to have groups of people out there. I don't think it's safe at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I know people will hate that because people want to get out. Thankfully most of us live in this area. Well, all of us live in this area obviously, but we have space and we have scenery and we can go out and hike and walk. But I just feel like it's going to be overcrowded quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other issue that I see too, and I was really happy that Reggie brought this up, because we did talk earlier, and I said, wow, this is great, because I know one of the things that I believe that the different communities are trying to do, or at the state level, is they're trying to avoid, well, and I can tell you the beach, in New Jersey, I can tell you in the beach, you're allowed to walk on the beach, but you're not allowed to sit on the beach. They're trying to keep people from doing congregational kind of, congregating activities. And I think that what the watering hole is they're congregating activities. So I think that when you're walking a trail or, many places that you can walk around here, you're moving and you're keeping your social distance. If you're at the watering hole, you're encouraging congregating activities, and the social distancing probably will not happen. So I'm all in favor. I would be in favor. If Reggie wanted to make a motion, I would be in favor of supporting it. I don't know, Richard, what your thoughts are.
You're right. It's not going to be possible to social distance at Big Deep, if that's what we're talking about. So, I don't know until, well, first of all, until we reopen, it should be closed. I mean, that's the starter.
Close to what, though?
Excuse me?
Close to what?
Well,
hiking? I mean, right now, people are hiking.
Nobody's hiking at Big Deep. We're talking mainly about Big Deep, right?
Big and Little Deep. I mean, people do park on one end and walk back and forth.
Mm.
I mean, it was too cold to swim the other day, and there were 10 or 15 cars parked in there.
Yeah, I saw it on Xena Road. There were a lot of cars there.
Well, even with it warming up, it's going to be too cold to swim for a while.
Yes.
Mm.
But we should, I'm not opposed to having the conversation, because I would hate to June to come and it gets really warm and all of a sudden we're inundated. So we should have at least a direction. So my thought, do we just put up concrete barriers and stop them from parking and leave it open to foot traffic? that's a little problematic because now you've made it
Going
more
to put them
difficult.
out on 212.
That-
Yeah, you can still get around that, yeah.
They would get around it, but it would make it more difficult. We could put
Can't you
up
put
posted
closed?
signs.
Temporarily closed?
We could, and then, it's going to become another issue for the police to run down and be checking it.
Is, Reggie, in your view, are Big Deep and Little Deep equal issues? Because I would think Big Deep would be an issue. Little Deep seems like more walking trails. Is it your view that we should be closing both Big Deep and Little Deep, or perhaps we could close Big Deep and say, well, you could still go do your walking trails
The
on Little
hike,
Deep?
right? Because especially if it's already open now for people to hike through. Little Deep, Bill, is that what you're talking about? It's open for folks to hike.
Well, right now, both are open
Both are open.
and people hike through both. You can hike from one to the other.
Right. So
And
then,
I'm not opposed to closing them down. That's not what I was getting at, but I think we need to be clear about what we're going to do and what the ramifications are going to be.
Well, my thought is if we close Big Deep and just say, hey, it's closed, and if you want to hike from Little Deep to Big Deep, go ahead, because then you could still get your hiking in. But it would, I think that, and maybe I don't know because I'm not really frequenting either Big Deep or Little Deep, but is it our sense that they're both equally, that people swim in both places an equal amount? I thought Big Deep was the big swimming place, and I thought Little Deep was more of a hiking place. But I don't use it a lot to know what most people think.
Big Deep is got more beach-like area, so you're going to get greater numbers, but you still have smaller groups down along the stream paddling around at the Little Deep.
because then if Big Deep is closed and then everyone floods Little Deep,
I would think just close both until July or something, until June and then reconsider.
Right.
because I'm just worried that we're going to see a lot of numbers, and that we're going to have a lot of folks coming up, and that we're going to see our numbers, which, Bill, tell me if I'm wrong, I think we were still in the 20s for a number of weeks, right?
Cases?
As far as cases in Woodstock.
Yes. And
Well,
now
the last count I saw was 30, the last count.
Okay, so
Which is a good jump in a week.
yeah,
right, and we were hanging in at 22 for a good while.
we were
Right.
under 20 for a good while.
Under 20. So I'm just worried that we're going to see the numbers really spike if we have a lot of folks coming up, which I think is
I
gonna
agree
happen.
with you, Reggie. Close it down and then revisit it in
Well,
a month.
What we could do is close the parking and take the sign down so that people don't
Yeah.
find it.
Right.
I know
Don't go
this,
to Gallows.
this won't make a big impact, but what about people fishing?
Well, the interesting thing, Bill, when you said about the sign, because it was maybe a week or two ago that I drove by and the Big Deep sign was kind of down. You couldn't read it. And I thought, oh, wow, they're doing that on purpose, but now it's back up again. So I guess you can flip it or something.
Yeah, maybe somebody was messing around with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I took notice.
I would suggest if that's what we want to do, we should take it down altogether.
Well, I do agree with what I think Reggie was the one that said if you close one, people will flood to the other one. So probably closing both is would be the way to go. Otherwise, they'll all flood from one to the other.
I'm in favor of closing it if that's the board's wishes. I got two questions though. One was about fishing, but two, the other thing is, DEC is not closing.
Say that again?
DEC is not closing the Overlook Trail.
No.
To me, that's a bigger problem, but.
Did you say, Richard, that DEC is closing it, or they have?
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No.
Go up on the mountain on
That's going to be right.
Yeah, but when people are hiking, they're moving. You can keep your social distance when you're moving. The issue is when people stop and congregate.
Enough of this fucking conversation.
Well, I'm sorry. Somebody needs to go on mute, I think.
Hey, Ashley, mute everybody but the town board and Jackie.
Who is that?
I don't know.
It sounded like an interesting tidbit of.
Somebody didn't like our conversation.
I'm not.
So, anyway,
Gentlemen, for everybody, I apologize. That was not your conversation. It was me speaking. I really, really apologize.
Oh, that's
And
who's
by the
Bill?
way, the Daily
It is,
here.
it's Bill Kimball. I apologize. I'm following 2 meetings. It wasn't you guys. I am deeply sorry.
No,
Sure.
not a
Bill.
problem. I don't even know what you
hey,
said.
Nick,
So we'll leave
where's
it at
Nick?
that.
Nick, are you
Where's
still
Nick?
on there?
Nick's
My
still
cell
there.
phone, my cell
Nick,
phone.
that's a great line for you.
I
How we got scammed by the Daily Freeman.
I deeply apologize. My cell phone fell over. The button went. I became unmuted, and you guys got
The brunt of it.
that. And boy,
Okay. We still
so
love you, Bill.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
We love you.
We do indeed. We do indeed. So Richard had a question on the table about fishing. I didn't hear anybody answer that.
You know, I would be concerned about limiting fishing. I mean, it's not like there's a tremendous number of areas to go. It's an activity that a lot of locals do.
And they can be spread out, correct, Bill? I mean, they can be
Yes.
spread out.
Yeah. In
But
fact, they typically are.
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't fish next to anybody.
I even have a little bit of trouble closing it down for hiking. You know, we have overlooking a lot of trails, but, you know, that's a less rigorous trail for a lot of locals. You know, maybe we could do it where we leave it open during the week and close it on the weekends.
Yeah, no, that's a possibility.
That's a good idea.
You know, and we could put up.
But you know, the only thing is with a lot of folks either not working or working from home now. You know, I don't know, but I would be open to us trying to have it open during the week and then close it on the weekend. So at least we know that definitely local folks can take advantage of it.
Right.
You know, we don't want to. Again, it's really only about safety for anybody that may, if we decide to, do something. For anybody that would be upset, I get that, but it's really about safety and us trying to get through this.
I'd be more worried about the swimmers than hikers or fishermen. You know, with the hiking and the fishing, you're kind of moving and not congregating. With the beach, it's one big party.
Right.
And they leave a big mess that the town has to then go and clean up. So it's
Well, you can also put up a sign that says hiking and fishing only, no swimming.
right. Or again, we could leave it open during the weekend or weekday and close it, and just make sure the locals know that they have it for the week, and then we close it up. So I would say let's think about it for the next
meeting.
I was going to suggest next meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's all come back with some thoughts and we can set a policy.
And I'd like to hear Lauren's thoughts too. So yeah, so we can talk about it amongst ourselves this week and then figure something out for next Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. There's nothing else.
One thing, Bill.
Yeah.
I would also like maybe next week, we got to turn our attention back to STRs. Year is up. It's time to renew, basically. We got to set the cap because, I think we've been pretty lenient, and I just think we need to stay on top of it.
Okay. So the other day when you and I spoke, I thought I heard you say something about 300.
Well, that's what you and I had talked about over the course of the year.
Yeah. So you're
a couple months anyway.
So you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think we need to discuss it with the rest of the board. Get our numbers from Butch and see where we are and go from there.
Did you know how many we had in 2019?
Well, the last time I talked to Butch, we were at about 280.
Wow.
Now, they weren't all officially approved. Some were still going through the process, but at a max, it would have been, if they all got approved or no variances or whatever, I don't know what it was, it'd be around 280, I think he said. So we got to, the season's coming, we got to make some decisions.
Well, 300, if our number was around 280, 300 sounds fair to me. Although I thought that we had also tried to, of the number, I think part of it, we set some percentage of it was for owner occupied and some was for not owner
Yeah,
occupied.
Right.
those are the numbers we need from Butch. That
Oh,
breakdown.
gotcha. So we know how to split it. Okay.
Right.
But I think that sounds fair to keep it where it was, because I didn't hear, you know,
Well, that's not where it was.
yeah, we were hearing more and more issues through the years of how the STRs were a big problem. And I didn't think I heard as many issues in 2019. So in my view, having a similar number 2019 to 2020 seems okay, because I didn't hear as big of a set of issues with the STRs last year. So that.
Well, I have to say that I think the reason we didn't have as big a problem is because we passed a law and we put everybody on notice that everybody had to behave themselves.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the owners did the right thing, and they cracked down and they adjusted their rental policies. I think they monitored a lot of them better, that they didn't permit parties, so that was a little less of a problem. The garbage last year, the garbage and the bears wasn't a problem. This year, it's already started out to be a bit of one. So we'll see. But I think that's why last year it was better.
And the other thing too is this year, those people renewing, it's a much easier, simpler process. They're coming back, they're getting renewed, all those things are wonderful. And we can also then turn our attention to the people that are operating illegally and are not registered. And I think that's the next thing for the next year.
Yeah, once we reset the cap and get all of those registered, then we can really start to crack down.
I mean, a lot of people are playing by the rules, they're doing the right thing, and there's still some people out there who are not. We need to equalize that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Question, Bill?
So you'll talk to Butch and have something for us on
I will try. Yep.
Tuesday? Okay.
Bill, John Ludwig had his hand up.
Did
Bill,
you,
if you
John?
don't mind, I appreciate having the link and password for this meeting. Is there a reason that you can't put it on the website so that it's available that way?
Probably not. I'll look into that maybe for the next meeting.
Okay.
They have public access, John.
They have what?
Actually, they still been on public access.
Oh, you mean it's played on public access? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I mean to attend live. I'm just wondering if there was a reason that you didn't put it on the website, because in the spirit of open meetings, just to make it available.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably the issue is if you made it public, then you might get Zoom bombed.
Yes, I
Well,
think that's exactly the
So
reason.
I think that's the reason why it's by request.
And the host has control over that, I would think. If you get bombed, you could shut somebody off.
Well, you have to end the whole meeting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Potential, yes. We're those who are interested in local residents, it's a little bit of an effort, but the meeting is available for those. And so it's not just out there for anybody on the internet who's going on a fishing expedition.
Like who just came on not too long ago, whoever that was.
Well,
That language.
Derelict person.
Who was that
The
person?
Sophos ran into, they issued a general invitation and they
Say
got
that-
Zoom bombed. And
say
so
that again, Ken?
That was the issue that Sophos ran into. Their
Yeah.
town
Yes.
board.
Yeah.
Right.
They issued a general invitation for anyone to come, and
Yes.
they got all.
And they got them.
Right.
Now, they also used the free version, which did not have as much protections. We've got a little bit more protection than that version that they used had.
Yeah, I
Are
think-
we charging for people to see the meeting or participate?
Who the hell would pay to see this?
Penny maker.
I think we'd lose a lot of money on that one, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd
Not
have
a
to pay
money maker,
people.
huh?
So,
Hey, Jackie, have you turned
Not a
off?
money maker, huh?
Just a question for Jackie.
Yes,
But have you turned any thoughts to summer rec?
I believe, so far we have not, been approved or authorized through either the state or the Ulster County Health Department. We're like way late in getting our camp together. We'll see.
Okay.
But it doesn't look good. Let's put it that way. It does not look good this year.
Does that type of thing fall under campgrounds and that whole area of regulation?
No, it's under day camps.
Day camps? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see how we put together a summer camp this year. You know, usually we're hiring our counselors and going through all the paperwork and prep in March.
Well, there's no social distancing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't see this thing, you know, we held off a little bit just to see where we would be at the end of April. And we're still not sure when we're going to be opening, even the town offices. So I don't see how we could, you know, adequately prepare for summer camp.
We can't social distance. That's the problem. You know, if we were, you can't have 5-year-olds running around with masks I mean, it just wouldn't happen. And then in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way too difficult.
Yeah.
I feel bad. It
Yeah.
probably is one of the first years that they probably have not had a summer camp in Woodstock 60 years. Sad.
Wow.
But this is the times we're living in.
And the most unfortunate thing is this is when the young kids need activities the most.
Right.
Ashley, you're shaking your head.
Oh, Andy Lee Field is not shut
Lady.
down, is it, Bill?
No, it's not.
And neither is Rick Volt's Field, right?
The only thing that, you know, that we've kind of clamped down is the basketball. It's a contact sport.
But I mean, if people use safety and social distancing, they can use the fields, right? To run around and swing and
I
do
saw
whatever.
kids. I saw, you know, a family with some children the other day on the swing set, and that's, you know, as long as everybody acts appropriately and socially distances, it's all fine.
Yeah.
And the tennis courts will be open?
The tennis courts are open. You know, we're
Okay.
telling people not to have doubles, to play singles. You know, the ball back and forth is a little concerning, but you know that we tell them to take precautions, and I guess what a lot of them do is they each have their own ball, so when they're serving, they serve with their ball, and so they only touch their own.
Well, if it's only hitting the racket.
Yeah, but I guess when they serve, you got to throw it up in the air. And,
The governor, I was reading the governor's statement from yesterday. So the governor made a statement yesterday about reopening New York. And besides reopening 3 regions, he is also opening select activities, and he included tennis as one of the select activities that was open.
Yes, I did see that.
I think it's at the 15th. So according to the governor, statewide, tennis is an approved activity starting the 15th.
I guess Woodstock is ahead of the curve.
As usual.
So, all right.
Bill, and just real quick, I ran into someone at the grocery store earlier, and they were expressing concern, I think as we all are, for our business owners, and wondering what they could do to help. And I just said, you know, for ones that are open, especially, I mean, really it's restaurants in general, but for any place that is open, if you're able to get out and support them and patronize them, I know they appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you can purchase a gift card, or if not, I think even something like going on their Facebook page and sending a message and saying, hey, is there some of your employees that may need a helping hand right now that are struggling? Everyone won't need it, but they may know someone that works for them that could use a gift card to the grocery store, could use a gas card. You know, so just thinking about ways, again, if you know someone personally or business, go on their Facebook page, leave a message, call their phone number, leave a voicemail, and see if, you know, if there's some way that you can help, or when they are able to open, definitely, you know, going to their business and trying to spend money. So, and everyone's not able to do that. I certainly understand. But if you can, if you have the means, I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Reggie.
I want to know who Test is.
Who?
There's
Test.
somebody named Test. Do you see that? Next to Bill, there's a box that says Test.
Correct.
Who's Test?
Don't know.
A mystery person.
Identify
Do you know?
yourself.
Do you know?
It may be one of the bar members.
It may be one of the Board of Assessment Review members.
I don't know.
So
They should speak up.
Are we good?
yes, we're good. So I just again, I would say to the press, the more you can get the word out to folks, to our residents, our visitors, wear your mask, please. Be conscious and socially distance, and be appropriate. And the more we can all work hard to maintain that distance and protect one another, the sooner we'll be able to get open up and back to some semblance of our old lives. So.
And be nice to our clerks in the stores and around town.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the issues we were dealing with on and off for the last 2 weeks, was Cumberland Farms, who did have, and they've been great to deal with. And their clerks, their manager, they're top notch. I give them a lot of credit. Their corporate office was a little concerned, though. They had it posted that people should wear masks coming in. But again, the governor didn't pass a law. He did an executive order, which really has no teeth. We can't issue tickets for it. And, in other parts of the country, we've seen clerks that have been harmed, hassled. There's a security guard who was killed in Indianapolis, I think. And I think this all resonated with Cumberland Farms, that they didn't want to put their clerks in harm's way. They've done a much better job at posting. I think they've got about 10 or 12 signs up there now. Hopefully people will really just start to get it.
Because here's the thing, if we are not going to observe that, and then you're going into stores and then the clerks get sick, the owners get sick, and stores that we've depended on to, like going to Woodstock Meats. I'm grateful that we have places that are local, that I don't have to go all the way to Kingston for everything. And so if we want to be able to have those stores open so we can use them, we should not, whether you're healthy, if you're healthy, great. But think about that other person who's working, who may not be, who may, get the virus. And we want to have all those businesses open. So we don't want to do anything to put that in jeopardy.
We tend to think of frontline workers being the doctors and the nurses, and they are, and they're wonderful. But these clerks are a frontline too, and
Sure.
they need our respect and to be treated well.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, so if we can, let's not put them in a position where they have to ask us or
Exactly.
anyone. The more we can be proactive and just not even put them in that spot, I think is helpful. I think everybody's stressed. Things we can do to not add to each other's stress are helpful.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, folks.
Good
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Thank you.
safe. See you
Ashley.
next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, John. Good night, Jim.
Say good night, Jim.
Jackie, you
Yes.
going from my try?
You're just way too funny, Bill.
Goodbye.
Way too funny. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Take care, Felicia. Ashley, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow.